Welcome back to CEOs of the Swine Industry. I'm your host, Jim Eady. Today we have a great guest, CEO of New Fashion Pork, Brad Freking. Welcome, Brad.
Glad to be here, Jim.
Yeah, we've had a lot of good conversations over the years, and it's really good to have you on this platform today. A lot of people are familiar with your journey, but before we get started, can you tell me about your background in the swine industry and your journey to becoming CEO of New Fashion Pork?
All right. Actually, Jim, you're catching us at a great time. We just celebrated our 30th anniversary on Saturday. And so 30 years in business. Born and raised here in Jackson County, which is southwest Minnesota, and grew up on a small family farm, 200 sows, farrow to finish, some row crop. Grew up during the 80s, so it's pretty difficult times financially during the farm crisis. And at the end of high school, I was looking at, okay, either I joined the Navy or at that point in time, join the Air Force or go to college. I elected to go to college, SDSU, South Dakota State University, focused on pre-vet. When I was done at SDSU, was accepted at Kansas State, Iowa State, and the University of Minnesota. At that point in time, the U of M had the best swine program, so I went there and started my veterinary journey educationally in 1990. During my senior year, I was approached with one of your fellow Canadians, Dr. Mike Wilson. Toured him around for about a week on a unique concept of bringing wean pigs out of Ontario to lower feed costs, better market access here in the Midwest. And at the end of that tour, that's how New Fashion Pork started. Mike and I and another partner, Gary Dial, we combined resources. So I came straight out of vet school and started NFP.
Well, congratulations on 30 years, Brad. What's the first thing that comes to mind with that?
Oh, 30 years, it's a long time, Jim. Not I could never envision where we're at today. When we started this humbly with 50,000 pigs in 1994, today the operation is about 60,000 sows, farrow to finish. NFP is a little bit unique in that we're very asset heavy. So we own all the sow farms and a large percentage of the finishing. And so, yeah, doing Triumph Foods, that'd be a big hallmark in there. Started that in 03 with Bob Christensen and Hanover and Eichelberger and those guys. And, then we started doing the land transition in 2011. So I'm just thinking through different benchmarks that are material over that 30-year journey.
So what about current industry perspectives, Brad? So there's been a hot topic, the debate on loose sow housing. So I
Sure.
know, you don't agree with Brent Hershey's comments on the topic. I know you're a believer in not bashing or criticizing each other. You would rather emphasize consumer choice. Can you elaborate on this?
Hey, absolutely. And I need to back it up, Jim, too. When the industry was under significant pressure for individual sow housing versus group sow housing, Seaboard Triumph took the position that, hey, we're not going to come out here and make a public statement. And we're the only processor that never made a public statement because we believe in consumer choice. And if the consumer is willing to pay for that product, we will raise that product. And, so we have loose sow housing. We have some Prop 12 type housing and are within the systems. And, it's about consumer choice and criticizing your fellow producer for their choices that they make. There's no place for that in this industry. It's hard enough the way it is.
So with your standpoint, how can the industry better educate consumers about choices and the various housing systems?
Well, I think, in all honesty, um, Prop 12 is a different deal because the voters in California got bamboozled, and And you're seeing that in price of pork in California. I mean, they got to be disappointed with what's happened to their availability of supply. And we're feeling that as an industry, that loss of demand. But I think when you talk about loose sow housing, that's a perfect example because there was this huge push for it 10, 12 years ago. And now when we talk to our customers, which are the retailers, are really our customers, retailers, food service, not the direct consumer, we spend a lot of time educating them. Loose sow housing is not more sustainable. We have units side by side. You have a higher calling rate, higher sow mortality. It takes more feed, costs more to raise that wean pigs. So my definition of sustainability, Jim, is provide more with less. Well, loose sow housing doesn't accomplish that. And Prop 12 just takes it to a whole nother level of non-sustainability in my mind.
So how do we get here with the sustainability challenges, Brad?
Well, sustainability, I mean, it's always an interesting conversation because I always like to start off with, well, what is your definition of sustainability? And in our shop, we keep it pretty simple. It's provide more with less. What people confuse their beliefs in animal well-being with sustainability, and those are two different conversations, Joe. But people want to morph those together, and so you got to take them back to what is your definition of sustainability, and then let's have that conversation.
So what about technology and innovation, specifically addressing those type of sustainability challenges?
Um, a great question. The one area that we've invested in, Jim, with a couple of startup companies, is this whole big data question, and especially in grow finish, not so much in sow farms. The sow farms are a little bit more of a controlled environment. Everybody showers in. You can get that team together, get through the tasks, monitor the tasks. Grow finish is a little bit of organized chaos because you got multiple sites and you got pigs dealing with health issues. And so I mean, I think technology, when I think about technological advancements today in the industry, it'll be providing a big data solution on grow finish.
So what about leadership and evolving as a leader? What type of leader are you, Brad, and how have you evolved over the years, the last 10 years?
Yeah, I think I'm evolving every day, Jim. So it's you know something I share with my sons when we start debating topics, Jim. A quote I share with them. I go, "You may have knowledge, but you're lacking wisdom." And you understand the difference. Everybody can have the knowledge, be smart about topic, but do you got enough life experiences with wisdom to apply it? And I think I'm in that stage of my career. And when it comes to leadership, where a lot of companies fail, that they want to grant the accountability for the issue, but they don't provide the authority or the resources to really own that issue or that area. So one thing we focus on here, if we're going to provide that accountability, we make sure they're surrounded with the assets they need, to win. So those would be two areas.
So when we talk about leadership, there's many ways that one can be defined as a leader. It's are we vocal? How did we grow our company? How do we work with employees? How did we handle COVID, etc.? Is there a specific instance or decision, Brad, that has significantly shaped your leadership style?
Yeah, I mean, Jim, in the early days, what I learned in the early days is my attitude on coming in the office would set the tone, would set the environment for the office. So I recognize that every single day when I come into the door, that whatever attitude I bring to work, that has an impact on everybody I touch and see that day. So so it's this balance of so negativity here, average here, the rah-rah cheerleader up here. You need to be somewhere between positive and cheerleader,
Yeah.
because cheerleading, you don't ever, you jack everybody up for a day, but you never see the follow through or the real result. So it's somewhere in the middle is where that temperament needs to be. And that has a big impact on your entire organization.
It's interesting because as an entrepreneur, it's a different mindset when you're starting the company to where you've evolved as a leader.
Yeah.
Like it's quite interesting. So when we look back to achievements and reflections, as a CEO to date, what's been your biggest move or accomplishment, and what's been your biggest regret?
Um, I would say the the largest accomplishment, I think it'd be recognized within the industry, was formation of Triumph Foods. Um, we were the first group to do a processor, an owned facility. And I give a lot of that credence and credit today to Bob Christensen, because there's no doubt he was a leader in that. Merle Mortensen, Baxter Gutnick with the Hanover Company, um, because that was quite an undertaking, Jim, and everyone thought we'd fail. But, our approach on that, we hired a professional CEO. We did not run the business. We operated at a board level, stayed out of day-to-day operations. And then as farmers or pig producers, we recognized that we didn't know anything about sales and marketing, so we engaged with Seaboard to sell all of our products. So to me, I mean, that'd still be, when I think about the business, one of the most critical junctures we made. Um, other positive things, I think owning the assets that we do, which led us into buying land and becoming really reverse fully integrated with our land holdings, because we got the manure out of the pig barns. And if you want to talk about sustainability, Jim, I mean, we're the picture of that. The feed mills deliver feed, pigs grows, create nutrients, nutrients go on the farm, raise the corn goes back to the mill, feed the pigs. And so it's pretty full circle here at NFP. Um, Regrets, you got many of them. In this business, it's you're going to fail on a regular basis. So it's just how rapidly you fail and don't repeat the mistake. So,
Do you believe you learn most from failure?
what?
Do you think you learn the most when you
Oh,
fail?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. And, and we're, we set up our accounting a little bit different, Jim. So we could financially flow farrow to finish, the sow units cost center, grow finish profit center. So when we set up our financial system in, late 90s, we could watch how different operations worked financially, and so that taught you a lot about, hey, what's failing, what's working, et cetera, et cetera. And we're a little bit different. We kind of lucked out at the end of the day, Jim. We grew NFP via acquisition from kind of the late 90s, 99 through 04. So we were spread out from Wyoming to Indiana with sow farms, and all the growing herd comes back here to Midwest. And And that was done by acquisition of the sow assets. Well, that's turned out to be a blessing because the majority of the sow farms are in pretty high health areas.
When you started and where you are today, did you kind of have the vision of this, or did it just kind of happen day
You
by day?
know, I obviously when we started, with 50,000 pigs being marketed a year, everything was about pigs. There's two employees, is myself and my sister in the office. My wife Meg continued working at the University of Minnesota with Pig Champ because we needed a real salary and healthcare and things like that. So I grew up doing every job in the company. And and that's one thing as these businesses age generationally, whoever's going to take that leadership role should take at least a year and do every job in the company. I mean, so that's kind of getting back to your leadership question, but yeah, I think that's paramount that, any individual that they're a family member or whatever, should take a year and do that.
Good advice, Brad. Now, product quality and consumer preferences.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of debate about the taste of our product. I know Jim Long talks about marbling. There's room for improvement so people know what to expect every time in the eating experience. What's your analysis, Brad? What do consumers want? What do we need to do?
I would say Seaboard Triumph. I mean, we're on the innovative edge in that category, and we created some IP that identifies marbling at line speed, and we actually perfect the technology, and we create. It's called Prime Pork underneath the Prairie Fresh brand, and so it's a subcategory, and those pigs are segregated out. And so I was just looking at some reports here last week, and it's growing for us, Jim. But the U.S. consumer has been trained on different quality aspects in beef, but they still look at pork as pork, and so I was hoping that product category would be growing faster than what it is, but we are making incremental sales from where it started to where we're at today now 2 years later. So
So you
so it's
see,
out there, but it takes a certain setting in the store where that product's segregated off. It's now with your commodity pork.
are there other ways you're adapting to the products and processes to meet the consumer expectations?
Absolutely. I mean, if I think about innovation that we have going on the processing side and further processing, Daly's just launched a steak cut bacon.
Yeah.
It's a thick cut, and that's pretty exciting product. We're launching into the breakfast sausage category, the ground pork categories, the dinner sausage categories. So you're going to see some pretty unique flavor profiles coming out over the next 12 to 18 months because we got to capture that younger consumer. And they're in a little bit more srirachis and different flavor profiles that got a little bit of zing to them. So I mean, we are working aggressively to target that younger consumer.
So looking ahead, Brad, what do you see as the biggest opportunity and challenges ahead for new fashion pork over the next 5 years?
That's a big question, Jim. Um, I'll start with the challenges. Um, NFP, we have not built a new finishing barn for 5 years. And so we're just in a unique situation today or this year. So we built a new 4,000 head site. Jim, by the time we're fully loaded all in, it's going to approach $500 US per pig space. And So the reason I share that, you get same cost issues on the south if you're going to do a new sow barn. And it's predominantly concrete and concrete associated products. But so when I look at the industry today, I really question if you would take Farrow to finish new build, we are in a non-sustainable industry. And what I mean by that is there is not enough profitability to pay for new assets. So so you got to be honest with yourself. You're living off depreciation. And so we have a material issue as an industry about its overall sustainability. Right? And to me, sustainability is make enough money to pay the check, take care of everything.
And are the opportunities kind of in line with the new flavor profiles, younger generation? Anything else to note, Brad?
Um, I mean, we're excited about it. It'll take 18 months, from time you launch a product to really see any results. It takes about 18 months on that, Jim. So a year from today, I'll have a better answer for you. I do believe ground pork there should be significant opportunities when you compare that to the price of ground beef. And ground pork or pork burger is a wonderful product, and I think can very competitively go against ground beef. But you get outside of the Midwest, have you ever seen ground pork? I mean, we just have an issue as an industry of getting that product in front of the consumer.
Yeah, our butcher recommended it. And it was great. Kind of, it's nice, lean, fresh, and
Yeah.
need to keep needs to get in front of people. We'll get you out of here on this, Brad. How can you plan to position new fashion pork to take advantage of the opportunities and overcome the challenges we discussed today?
Um, you know, well, uh, with our position, Jim, we're about as integrated as you can get within the industry. So I mean, we got some buffer for high feed cost. We got the processing on the other end. Our focus going forward is value added. When I look at opportunities in the industry, it's not necessarily with more pigs. It's with what we're going to do with those products. Because we're probably, we're not a Hormel or Smithfield with a bunch of brands and we sell to a lot of our competitors, Joe. So, so our individual focus is continue to integrate more of the products that we sell into value added items. I mean, that's where, when I think about NFP and where our focus needs to be. Beyond that, it's no different than any other producer. I mean, it's just about efficiencies and cost. Because, we're still in a commodity business.
Well, Brad, you were a high demand guest for our program. You made a lot of people happy today. Thanks for joining CEOs of our industry.
Absolutely, Jim. Enjoyed being here.